on this issue. I mean, I think what's fascinating really is how the conversation has changed from back in 2013 when there was actually a chance of, some type of large immigration package when senators, the Gang of Eight, some of our listeners may remember, put together a package that included strong border enforcement, but also a path to citizenship, money for Border Patrol, a big package. And it passed the Senate, but didn't go beyond. But now it's completely different. I was actually talking with Leon Fresco. He was actually a staffer for Senator Chuck Schumer at the time. He was the guy at the keyboard who wrote the legislation. And I asked him, what happened over in that time? And he talked about how in 2012 you had just had an election and Obama had just won, and Republicans were really having a, come to Jesus moment and thinking that they needed to have a bigger tent, and they thought they needed to attract more Latinos, and they felt this was the way.
Now that we're in 2024, 11 years later, there just is a sea change in that, people don't necessarily correlate anymore immigration and the Latino vote as being linked in any way, meaning whether you have Trump or whether you have Romney or whether you have McCain or whether you have anyone.
And he goes on to say that this is not about attracting Latinos through immigration or through this issue. And he said what they're doing more is actually raising or stoking their Republican base by warning that these immigrants or these migrants that you were talking with Jasmine and Jimena about that are coming over are actually potentially, this is the conspiracy theory, that they're coming over and they're recruiting them to be new Democratic voters.
There used to be much more of a middle on immigration, on what needed to get done, but the parties have moved further and further apart, almost like you said. The gun issue is as intractable as the gun issue. And I think in 2024, immigration is an issue where the policies of Joe Biden and Donald Trump are starkly different, not just in the policy, but frankly, with the rhetoric.
Absolutely, with the rhetoric. I mean, Biden came into office promising a more humane policy. He came in, got rid of funding for the border wall, promised that there would never be another inch of border wall built. He backed off on that a little bit, I will note.
He's backed off on a lot of things.
A lot of things. He ended the travel ban. He introduced legislation that would provide a path to citizenship. Obviously, Trump is kind of the extreme opposite, talking about wants to, in 2024, part of his campaign, like it was before, is to build a wall, to do another travel ban, to mass deportation, as you guys were talking about earlier. I will say, though, Biden has interestingly shifted in the last few months as the problems on the border have become more challenging. He has started to incorporate some of the language that some would say Trump's language, talking about shutting the border down, supporting legislation that a bipartisan group of senators tried to move forward that would have been some of the most extreme enforcement measures passed ever. But obviously that fell apart largely because Trump urged Republicans not to support it.
Jimena, what are you hearing in Arizona about